2 weeks after the New Year, 1975, in the village of Highley in Shropshire, a 17-year-old girl named Leslie Whittle was taken from her bed in the middle of the night. On the morning of January the 14th, her mother went to see why she hadn't come down to breakfast. Dorothy Whittle searched the house and found 3 messages printed on dymo tape. Leslie's father had started as a bus driver and built up a successful transport business, ending up with 70 coaches. When he died, in his will he left Leslie £82,500 in trust. When the will was published, newspapers referred to her as an heiress, which was to lead to fatal results. She had been kidnapped, and the kidnapper was now demanding a £50,000 ransom. The message said, "You are on a time limit. If police or tricks, death." Nevertheless, Leslie's brother Ronald did call the police, who agreed that the family could pay the ransom, or at least appear to go along with the kidnapper's instructions, but only under their supervision. Police searched every inch of the garden and surrounding countryside for clues, but the kidnapper was obviously an experienced criminal who had planned his abduction with painstaking care. Now he told Ronald Whittle that instructions would be phoned to a box at the Swan Shopping Centre in Kidderminster that evening. Ronald Whittle was waiting there. But the story broke on the TV news, and the police withdrew him. So when the kidnapper called the box at midnight, he got no reply. The next evening, the 15th of January, in a seemingly unconnected incident, the security guard at a transport depot near Dudley in Worcestershire was shot 6 times by an intruder he challenged. Gerald Smith hovered between life and death for 14 months, but ill as he was able to help towards creating a photo fit of his assailant, which Chief Superintendent Bob Booth showed to the press. The Whittle family was now besieged by newspapermen. Kidnapping is a rare crime in Britain, and a young and pretty girl had never been held hostage there before.
Well, I would just like her to get in touch with me, if at all possible.
I think that, if I may come in here, that the point is that the most important thing is that we want Leslie back. We will do whatever is required. We want the kidnappers to get in touch with me, and I will, after receiving reasonable proof that they are who they say they are, I will do whatever is reasonable to get Leslie back.
Near midnight on the following night, a call came with Leslie's recorded voice, instructing the ransom carrier to go to a telephone box at Kidsgrove.
Mum, go on to the M6 North to junction 10 and on to the A454 towards Warsaw. Instructions are taped under the shelf. Telephone.
Ronald Whittle attempted to follow instructions, but got lost and only reached the box at 3 a.m. It was another half an hour before he found the message that had been left for him, again on dymo tape. It told him to go to nearby Bathpool Park with the money. He got lost again and only reached the appointed place much too late. There he waited with mounting frustration, talking to the police over a 2-way radio. At last, he left, not knowing a courting couple had parked there before him and had been puzzled to see the kidnapper's torch flashing. The kidnapper had been watching all the time through binoculars and, convinced that the police were onto him, had returned to the hiding place where he was keeping the frightened girl, seething with anger and resentment. Next morning, a discreet search of the park revealed no clues, while a more thorough investigation would have found what they were looking for. At this point, the police were anxious to maintain the fiction that they had been unaware of Ronald Whittle's movements. It was one more week before the massive police hunt had its first break. A constable finally got around to checking out a car park just 150 yards from the freight depot in Dudley, where the guard had been shot. He discovered that the number plates of an abandoned Morris 1300 didn't match the registration number on its tax disc. On checking, it was discovered that the car had been stolen. When it was searched, a number of startling clues were found. Besides the gun that had been used to wound the security guard, there was a mattress, a tape recording of Leslie Whittle's voice, her slippers, and unused dymo-tape messages. There was also a box of bullets which matched those that had been earlier used to kill 3 other people. Suddenly, the realization dawned that the kidnapper of Leslie Whittle was the same man as an armed intruder known as the Black Panther. During the previous 10 years, more than 400 northern sub-post offices had been raided by a man dressed like this. Harrogate, Yorkshire, February 1974. Donald Skepper, sub-postmaster, was shot by him in the chest and died in his wife's arms. High Baxenden, Lancashire, September 1974. Derek Astin managed to push him down some narrow steps, but he escaped, leaving the sub-postmaster dying. Langley, West Midlands, November 1974. Sidney Grayland forced him to take off his mask by squirting ammonia at him and was shot, but his wife managed to get a good look at him before he fractured her skull in 3 places. £800 was stolen. The post office had offered a substantial reward for the capture of the Black Panther. Now that he had been linked directly to the Leslie Whittle kidnapping, Chief Superintendent Booth struggled to keep up morale.
I'm hopeful that we'll get her back alive. This man wants £50,000. Leslie Whittle comes from a family, and the brother's prepared to go anywhere to hand over £50,000 to this man, knowing now who he's dealing with. He would like me to say to the public, please don't hoax us, don't send us annoying calls and things like that. Don't lead us astray, don't con us for the money, because we won't play. We're only going to deal with the man who's going to hand over Leslie, and we'll hand over the £50,000.
Well, I would hope that...
A last public appeal was made.
We've had so many calls, some of which are very clearly hoaxes, and some which we can't be certain of. I've been out on certain of these calls, but they've led to nothing. But as you can see yourself, the money is here. He's got various means of communication available to him. So if he'll get in touch, the money is there, and I will go alone. I've been alone already, because the places that I've been to, I am sure the police haven't been following me.
The police was sure that the best leads would be found in Bathpool Park in Kidsgrove, but they didn't want to risk Leslie's life if she was still alive. At last, on March the 6th, 49 days after the kidnapping, they decided to move. The first major search revealed nothing, but then came an important clue. Bob Booth called a press conference to announce it.
2 schoolboys at Kidsgrove have found a tape with a message, "Dropped suitcase in hole," in the wasteland at Kidsgrove.
This is where the schoolboys had found the torch weeks before but hadn't given it in. The spot was close to where Ronald Whittle had gone in the middle of the night but had missed the flashing torch. Now the search of Bathpool Park began in earnest. Hundreds of policemen were drafted in. And all available tracker dogs. When it was discovered that there was an elaborate drainage system under the park, the police concentrated their investigations on that. What they didn't realize at first was that under their feet, British Railways had also built a network of tunnels. They were constructed in the 1960s to carry excess water from a new railway tunnel. The new tunnel replaced a low Victorian one, and it was this old tunnel that the kidnapper had planned to use as one of his escape routes if he was surprised by intruders. To service the system, a series of shafts and platforms had been built. The Panther had familiarized himself with these and built a camp for himself near the bottom of the main shaft. In the statement he made later, He told the police about his discovery when he was following the railway lines looking for a place where money could be dropped off a moving train. In Bathpool Park, I heard a roaring noise underfoot. I found the noise came from a slightly raised manhole cover. I raised the cover and saw a ladder going down into a shaft. I returned at a later date with a torch and went into the drainage system. After exploring the full complex, I decided this could be used in some way. On the second day of the final search, the police constable climbed into the main shaft of the park's drainage system. To his horror, near the bottom he saw the naked body of a girl hanging by a wire noose from a platform. It was Leslie Whittle, and the post-mortem showed that she had died weeks before. The immediate cause of death was vagal inhibition, which meant that she had probably died of terror and shock rather than strangulation. Britain was appalled by the news. Scotland Yard moved in and put the head of its murder squad in overall charge of the two teams.